Hey, this is Bob Flaherty, the electric principal, and I am here with Brother Pat. And we are in lovely, where are we? I keep forgetting.
Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison, Wisconsin. That's where we were born and raised, but I forget sometimes because I spend so much time in Colorado. But the reason we're shooting this video today is right there. That's why we're shooting this video. And then, hey, come on, you're walking off camera. Here we go. And you know, if you've been watching Out of Spec Bits, you know that I bought a Mini. And my brother Pat didn't get a chance to look at it. So I was telling him I was a little excited about it. He wasn't so excited. He was thinking maybe I should have bought a BMW. So I thought, well, I knew I was coming out to Madison. So we went to Mini of Madison. And
Great people.
Yeah, and we asked him, can we borrow a Mini for the day to do some filming? So we did that, and we have been driving this thing around. And what are your first impressions of the Mini?
Nice car. It's a nice car. You know, I think that in a lot of ways, I'm really pleased that Mini continues to build their cars as Mini first, and then they add the electric components onto that, and it feels like it. Feels like a nice Mini. This is a Countryman, so it's the big. I'd call it's the big SUV version of the Mini, but
Yeah.
it's very nice.
It weighs a lot more.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
handle quite as well.
It's got 5 doors.
Yeah, and
Yep.
it's got a lot more space.
Yep.
And it's a little over 4,500 pounds.
Yep, and it's really easy to get into.
Right, and it's got a lot more room than my original Mini that I bought in
Yeah.
2025, the last of the 2 doors that I picked up for dirt cheap about a year and a half ago.
So, it's a Mini. Let's go look at it.
Hey, so you could see way off in the background the capital of Madison, but it's kind of tiny. But that's why we kind of picked this spot. And one thing Pat and I both learned today is when we were talking to the manager of Madison of Mini, he kind of gave us some insight that people don't shop against other cars when they're buying a Mini. They buy a Mini because they want a Mini. And most of them don't even know that they're going to buy an electric Mini when they walk in the store.
Yeah, so this is Pat again, and so when they're shopping Minis, basically they're shopping Minis. So you'll have somebody coming in wanting to look at a gas Mini and an electric Mini, or just the electric. But they're really not cross-shopping this with an Ioniq 5 or an ID4 or anything else in that realm.
Right, because it's such a funky car.
It's funky.
There's nothing like them.
Bob, now that we are in this lovely interior, why don't you talk a little bit about why you decided to go with this newer Countryman that was a 4-door versus your 23 2-door?
Well, really, there's 3 reasons. Number one is, hey, the tax benefits are ending shortly as of September 30th. So I have less than 2 months, and I only had a year and a half left on my new Mini, and I wanted to take advantage of that. I mean, I'm looking for a car to take advantage of that because obviously after September 30th, the price of these cars may go up significantly. So it was a good time to buy. And I bought another Mini because I'm kind of a Mini nut. This is my 3rd Mini. I actually bought my first one in Madison, Wisconsin, at Mini of Madison. I bought the last 2 in Loveland, where I live right now. And what I like about this is, number one, it's got way more range, right? It's got 180 miles of range versus 80 on a good day, the best day in my Mini. And everything is way more refined. From I can set the charging limits to 80%. I know people at Mini will tell me that wasn't necessary, but I still think it was. It only had a 5 kilowatt buffer. And I still think being able to set that to 80% was a good deal. And everything in this Mini is way better. So the biggest difference and why I purchased this is, number one, it's all-wheel drive versus 2-wheel drive. And sometimes when you're in Colorado, all-wheel drive is a nice thing to have. One is it charges faster. My little Mini would do 50 kilowatts and it would stop right there. This thing will go up to 130. And so not only does it charge faster, but it's got more range. My Mini on the best day had 80 miles, Pat. This thing, realistically has 180 miles of range in the summer. So, we're looking at the main screen of this Mini, and literally there's 3 times the square inches or centimeters on this screen versus my old Mini. And you can do so much with this thing. Just there's fewer switches in this car, but turn the heated seats on. All I do is touch that. And now I've got 3 settings of heated seats and heated steering wheel. Really, really, really nice.
I love how it enlarges.
Right. And, if you watch my videos, I'm the world's worst parker. And I throw a switch and I put it in reverse. And I've got this super nice bird's eye camera. Someone's behind us. Hey, you're in my camera view. To checking out like your miles per kilowatts. Comes up with this nice little meter that, we've driven 23 miles. We're averaging 3 miles per kilowatt. We've used up a small amount of battery. It just gives you a lot of flexibility over here. It shows you right now that I'm in B mode. If I touch that, I can change the drivetrain, how everything is working. You access everything from this screen, but it's pretty intuitive. It's not really hard. If you want to change something or change the look, you touch it on the screen and it activates it.
And I just love how they kept the round original Mini, kind of a iconic look of the Mini with the big circular speedometer in the middle, and
right,
it's just great.
And you really don't need much else, because what we have here is a nice little heads-up display over here that you can see. And this little thing, the best part is I can read it even with sunglasses on. It shows up, it doesn't take up any of the windshield, and it gives you just the information you kind of need, like how fast you're going, what the speed limit is, how much battery you have left. It just gives you the basic things that you really need, and so that's a real positive.
And again, I really do enjoy how they're keeping it simple. Yes, the primary information is on this wonderful center display. It reminds me a little bit of the ID4, frankly, in a good way, that they keep a minimalist display centered for the driver with the essential information that you need. And what's really kind of cool about it is, again, that heads-up display gives it a very, very clean look when you're driving it. And again, the gorgeous dash. I really like what they've done going to a cloth fabric on the dash. It just looks warm and inviting. I can't say that I'm crazy about the wing of the car that has some of that, and then they change the color. But overall, I love the interior of this car, Bob.
Now, if this were going to be my only car and I wasn't going to own any other car, that would be the only thing that would keep me from buying a Mini. And Pat will talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, I think the good news is, again, they've upped it. It has more range, let's say, than what you had in your original electric Mini in 23. But it's still, it's still not the best road tripping car, but it does make it more usable. So, for example, now you probably could get from Fort Collins to the Denver airport, which in the Mini, that would have been, your old Mini would have been a guaranteed, we got to find a charger somewhere.
Yeah, because that's 60 miles each way. It's 120 miles round trip. I wouldn't hesitate to do that in this car, and I wouldn't have to charge unless it was the coldest of cold days. And so that to me is a huge plus, because it really limited how I could use that car. And in a year and a half, I only put probably a little over 10,000 miles on that car, partly because I would never take it on those longer trips, Pat. I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't practical.
But the purpose of that car is, it was a strictly city car. This gives you some options, but again, if you need to have mileage, you're going to be looking at a Ioniq 5. You're going to be looking at a Model Y. This is different. It has a moderate improvement in range, but it's still a fun Mini. So if you need a town car, which you occasionally have to wander on a 120, 130 mile trip, this is still a good choice, particularly if it's your second car.
Right, and it's so different than any other car you can buy. It's a car that has a charisma and a style all its own, and bright colors on the gauges and dashes, very unique displays, very. You can't mistake this for an Ioniq 5. That's just not going to happen. And so, many people, as the manager of the Mini store in Madison said, come in to buy a Mini. They're not comparing, because it's so unique. And so what they did was they know that, and let's face it, this is a car that's designed by Europeans. I mean, 180 miles of range in Europe ain't bad at all, because you can go from, I mean that literally, I can go in England itself, I can drive from London all the way to Shipton, England, on one charge, no problem, because the car has enough range to do that. We're not driving, for example, from Fort Collins to Madison, Wisconsin, 1,000 miles and back. So I can see where Europeans are going to design a car that doesn't necessarily have all that range that some of the other vehicles have. Nice little pull string, drops that down. Good little cup holders up here.
So this still, has the 5-door look, but if I open this up and I'm going to sit in it, it's really not too bad. Again, I don't have to sit down in it. And again, I know I'm only 5'7", and but if I look at this, there's plenty of leg room here. Somebody who's quite a bit taller or has longer legs might be just fine with this.
Yeah, but you're 5'7.5" at least.
Yeah,
maybe
give
even
me credit.
5'8".
We also, what I really like about this is, for those people that are bikers, you still have a trailer hitch, which is an option, but they were telling us in Madison that almost every one they just automatically equip for it. And again, that's nice for a bike rack, especially if you got an e-bike to go with your e-mini.
So, Pat, the reason I came out here and filmed this out here is, Pat and I talk 5 times a day, minimum. And I actually went ahead and bought a car without getting the Pat seal of approval.
Tisk.
Yeah, which I almost never do. So, Pat, what do you think of this car? Is it Pat approved, and what are your final thoughts about the car?
I like the car a lot. I mean, I could see this as a really good daily commuter, which is really what you're going to use it for. I think it's going to be a great car for that. It's comfortable, it's practical. It isn't a huge car, but it has it has a good amount of room in it for a small car. And overall, I really think it has a lot of character and a lot of fun and a lot of practicality, and that's a really good combination.
Yeah, and I'm also going to mention the Regen in this car. There's 4 different levels, including a very cool adaptive cruise control that people who don't like cruise control will really like. And you mentioned something about the settings on the fly.
Yeah, it's one of the few cars that doesn't nanny you with the screen. There's a lot on the screen, but it lets you do that while you're driving. And I love the paddle shifters for the Regen on a lot of cars now. This does not have that. But the screen is very accessible, and you can still do it on the fly, which I appreciate.
And final thoughts here, and thank yous are due. Thanks to Minnie of Madison for letting us come in and look at this car and being so helpful, and Carl, who's one of the salesmen here, and the manager in particular, couldn't have been more helpful. And I bought my first Mini at this dealership, and they did a really nice job. That was a 2015, great little car. And so I want to thank them, as well as the folks at Mini of Loveland, because they're great people. I'm buying my 3rd Mini from them, and they're nothing but helpful. And so I can't say enough about these dealerships and helping us learn more about these cars. And once again, thank you, Brother Pat. I always appreciate when Pat comes on the videos. He knows as much about cars, if not more than I do, because he just studies them all the time. And it's such a passion of ours. So thanks again. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you the next time.
Take care.